Once upon a time, there was a kingdom nestled between a shimmering river and a whispering forest. The kingdom was known far and wide for its breathtaking beauty and serene landscapes. The river sparkled like 1,000 diamonds under the sun, and the forest sang with the melodies of countless birds. The kingdom was filled with kind people. They lived in harmony, always ready to lend a helping hand to their neighbors. The market was always bustling with laughter and the sound of children playing. They loved their king and queen very much. The royal couple was the heart and soul of the kingdom, and their presence brought joy to everyone.
The king was wise and just. He ruled with a fair hand, always considering the well-being of his subjects. His wisdom was sought by many, and his counsel was valued by all.
The queen was beautiful and caring. She had a heart of gold and treated everyone with kindness. Her presence was like a warm embrace, comforting and reassuring.
But a sadness lived in their hearts. Despite their happiness, there was a void that nothing could fill. They had no child to share their love with. Years passed and the seasons changed, but their longing remained. The king and queen wished on every star. Every night they would look up at the sky, hoping that their prayers would be answered. They hoped for a child. Their hearts were filled with hope and anticipation, believing that one day their dream would come true. One day, their wish came true. The queen gave birth to a beautiful baby, and the kingdom rejoiced.
The queen announced that she was going to have a baby. Her joy was infectious, and the news spread like wildfire.
The whole kingdom was overjoyed. The streets were filled with celebrations, and the air was thick with happiness. The king prepared a grand celebration. He wanted to share his joy with everyone and make the occasion unforgettable. He invited everyone in the kingdom, no one was left out, and everyone was welcome to join in the festivities. He knew his child would be special. The king believed that this child would bring even more happiness and prosperity to the kingdom, and he wanted to share his joy with everyone. The kingdom's longing had finally been fulfilled, and a new chapter of happiness began. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. A beautiful baby girl was born. The king and queen named her Belle. Belle means beautiful in their language. The name was perfect for their little princess. The entire kingdom rejoiced. Church bells rang, children danced in the streets, the air was filled with music and laughter. It was the happiest day the kingdom had ever seen. To celebrate Belle's birth, the king and queen held a magnificent feast. It lasted an entire week. Everyone in the kingdom was invited. They showered their new princess with love and gifts. At the grand feast, 12 fairies arrived to bless the baby princess. Each fairy was magical. They wore sparkling gowns and carried wands of moonlight. The air was filled with enchantment and joy as the fairies floated gracefully around the hall, their laughter like the tinkling of bells. They offered blessings of beauty, kindness, and wit. Each blessing was a gift of love and hope for the future of the young princess. But as the 11th fairy stepped forward, a hush fell over the room. The atmosphere grew tense, as if everyone sensed something was about to happen. A 13th fairy, uninvited and unwelcome, entered the hall. Her presence was like a dark cloud overshadowing the bright celebration. This fairy was old and cruel. Her face was lined with years of bitterness and resentment. Her heart was filled with bitterness. She had been forgotten, and her anger festered into a deep, dark hatred. She wore a dark cloak that seemed to absorb the light around her, and her eyes glowed with anger. They were like burning coals, filled with a malevolent fire. She was furious at not being invited to the celebration. Her rage was palpable, and the guests could feel the chill of her wrath.
The wicked fairy raised her hand, her fingers curling like the claws of a predatory beast, and spoke in a voice that chilled the room. Her words were like ice, freezing the hearts of all who heard them. "I too shall gift the princess," she cackled, her voice dripping with malice. Her laughter echoed through the hall, sending shivers down the spines of the guests. "On her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger on a spindle and die." The room was filled with gasps of horror as the wicked fairy's curse was pronounced, sealing the princess's fate.
A gasp went up from the crowd. The queen fainted. The king drew his sword, but the wicked fairy vanished into thin air. Everyone was in shock. The celebration was ruined. The good fairies were horrified. They wanted to undo the evil spell, but they couldn't. However, the 12th fairy, who had not yet given her gift, stepped forward. She was the youngest and most powerful of them all.
"I cannot entirely undo the curse," she said in a voice like silver bells, "but I can soften it. Instead of dying, the princess will fall into a deep sleep for 100 years. She can only be awakened by true love's kiss."
And so a glimmer of hope remained. Section 5. Belle's Enchanted Childhood.
The king and queen were relieved, but still worried. They ordered all spindles in the kingdom to be destroyed. They hoped to protect their daughter from the terrible curse.
Years passed. Belle grew up kind and clever, just as the fairies had blessed her to be. She had beautiful brown hair, sparkling blue eyes, and a smile that could light up a room.
I loved to spend time in the royal gardens. They were filled with colourful flowers, chirping birds, and playful squirrels. I would spend hours reading in the shade of ancient trees, my loyal dog Coco by my side.
Section 6. The Spindle's Prick. The day of Belle's 16th birthday dawned bright and clear. The king and queen had planned a small, quiet celebration, fearing the wicked fairy's curse. But even with all their precautions, they couldn't foresee everything. Deep within the castle, hidden away in an old tower, was a forgotten room. In that room, an old woman sat spinning wool. She was unaware of the royal decree, and on that fateful day, Belle, curious and adventurous, wandered into the old tower.
I had never seen a spindle before. Intrigued, I reached out to touch it.
As soon as her finger pricked the spindle's point, a sharp pain shot through her arm. Belle fell to the ground, fast asleep. Section 7. A Kingdom Slumbers. As Belle fell asleep, a strange silence fell over the entire castle. One by one, everyone in the castle fell into a deep sleep. The king and queen slumbered on their thrones. The cooks slept by their ovens. Even the guards fell asleep at their posts. A magical hedge of thorns grew around the castle, quickly becoming a dense forest. It became impossible to find the castle. Years turned into decades. The story of the sleeping princess became a legend, whispered by those who dared to believe. The forest was dark and dangerous. Wild animals roamed freely, and in the very center of that thorny prison, the castle slept, waiting for the touch of true love to break the enchantment. Section 8. The Prince and the Prophecy. One day, a young prince from a neighboring kingdom was hunting in the woods. He was a skilled hunter, known for his sharp eyes and quick reflexes. The forest was his second home, a place where he felt truly alive. He was known for his bravery and his kind heart. The villagers loved him, for he always lent a helping hand and a warm smile. His reputation as a noble and just prince spread far and wide. One day, while resting by a stream, he heard tales of a sleeping princess and a cursed castle hidden behind a wall of thorns. The villagers spoke in hushed tones, their eyes filled with fear and wonder. Intrigued by the mysterious stories, he decided to seek out the truth. He rode through the forest, following the whispers of the wind, the rustling of leaves and the chirping of birds. Each sound seemed to guide him closer to his destiny. The forest was alive with the sounds of nature, each chirp and rustle adding to the sense of adventure. The prince felt a strange connection to the forest, as if it was leading him towards something important. All these signs guided him towards the sleeping princess. The path was not easy, but the prince's determination never wavered. He knew that his journey was just beginning. Suddenly, an old woman appeared before him. She seemed to materialize out of thin air, her eyes filled with wisdom and kindness. She was a wise woman, and she knew of the curse. Her voice was soft but carried a weight of ancient knowledge.
"The princess is waiting for you, dear prince," she said. Her words were filled with hope and a hint of sadness. Only true love's kiss can break the curse. Her eyes bore into his, as if searching his soul for the truth of his intentions. "But beware, Many have tried and failed, lost forever in the thorns. Her warning was clear, the path ahead was fraught with danger.
The prince was not afraid. His heart was filled with courage and a sense of purpose. He was determined to save the princess and her kingdom. With a final nod to the wise woman, he spurred his horse forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Section 9. True Love's Kiss. The prince rode towards the castle, his heart pounding with determination. The thorns parted before him as if recognizing the purity of his intentions. He entered the castle and found the princess asleep in the tower room. Belle looked peaceful in her enchanted sleep. Her beauty was captivating. The prince had never seen anyone so lovely.
He gently took her hand and leaned down to kiss her, his heart filled with hope and love.
The moment his lips touched hers, Belle's eyes fluttered open.
The curse was broken!
The castle came alive with light and sound. The king and queen awoke along with everyone else. The long sleep was over. Section 10. Happily Ever After. Belle and the prince spent their days getting to know each other. They shared stories and laughter. Their love blossomed, as radiant as the first flower that bloomed outside the awakened castle walls. The whole kingdom rejoiced at their return. Belle and the prince were married in a grand ceremony. It was even more magnificent than the celebration of Belle's birth. The kingdom was free from the curse, and a new era of love and prosperity began.
Belle and the prince ruled wisely and kindly.
They always remembered the importance of love, courage, and the triumph of good over evil.
They lived happily ever after, their love story echoing through the ages.